In the last video, we went over if and else statements. To summarize, if statements evaluated whether or not a statement is true. If it is, it invokes a certain block of code. If not, the code inside of the else statement was triggered instead. Now we'll look at elif statements. Let's assume that an if statement fails, yet we're still not ready to move on to the else statement. We want to test one more condition, or a few more conditions. And if those conditions are true, we want to invoke a separate block of code before moving on to the else statement. That's where elif comes in, and we'll make use of it momentarily. Let's continue on from our previous lesson, and instead of just setting item equal to Brussels sprouts, actually we'll change this from Brussels sprouts to rutabagas, and we'll set a price for rutabagas equal to $2.99 on the same line of code. If you're not familiar with this notation, please refer back to section 1 of the crash course. The way this code is currently set is that if an item is not in the dictionary, the if statement is false, the else clause is true, and it updates the dictionary with that new item. And you know what? Instead of setting $2.99 directly, we'll set it equal to our variable price. What we'll do now is we'll add an elif statement. Elif price is bigger than $2.99. We want to tell the user, or in our case, we'll just print too expensive for inventory. If we run this, clearly the else statement still gets called because rutabagas is not in our grocery list, and the price is clearly not bigger than $2.99. I'm going to rerun the first cell to restore the initial value of grocery items, and now I'm going to increase the price of rutabagas. Rerun the code. First of all, the if statement gets skipped because this condition is still false. Rutabagas is not in the initial value of our grocery items dictionary. However, this evaluates to true because the price is indeed bigger than $3.99. Because the price is so expensive, we're not going to add it to our inventory, thus the elif statement gets called. This evaluated to true and ran the block of code corresponding to the elif statement. This is also the first time we've made use of a comparison operator inside of an if statement, or an elif statement for that matter. There are other comparison operators like equal equal, is not equal, bigger than, which we just saw, smaller than, greater than or equal to, and smaller than or equal to. The names of these operators kind of gives away their functionality. Let's look at one more example where we can make use of the is equal comparison operator. We'll start on a new cell and create a variable name daytime is equal to dawn. And what we'll do now is we'll write if daytime is equal to dawn, make sure there's two equal signs, not one, in order to indicate a comparison operation, not an assignment. So if daytime is equal to dawn, then we're going to print still asleep. Note the indentation to make sure that this block of code belongs to this statement. Elif, else if daytime is equal to morning, then we'll print time to go to work. Elif daytime is equal to noon, we'll print time to take a lunch break. Elif daytime is equal to afternoon, print time to go home. And finally, we'll put an else statement. So if it's none of these daytimes, it could be nighttime, midnight, whichever, we'll simply print time to go to sleep. So the purpose of this exercise was not only elif statements, but also for you to remember to use double equal signs when making a comparison. Do not ever confuse the double equal sign comparison operator with the single equal sign assignment operator. If you want to make a comparison, as we are doing here, use a double equal sign. If you wish to assign a value to a variable, use only one equal sign. It's very important to be able to distinguish between the two. Let's end this tutorial by running our code, and it prints still asleep. Since this if statement evaluated as true, this block of code is run, and all of these ones are thereby skipped. If I change this to noon, run the cell, this block of code is skipped, and now this is ran because this evaluates to true. If I change this to nighttime, none of these get called, and this gets invoked. Before I end this tutorial, I really want to stress code indentation. It's how we tell Python what code is inside the if statements, and what code is outside of it. This code is indented such that it corresponds to this if statement, so on and so forth. Indentation convention typically follows 4 spaces. Whatever amount of spaces you're using, it's important to stay consistent throughout. Otherwise, your code will have a different meaning than what's intended. Indentation applies to more than just if and else statements. We'll take a look at more examples momentarily.